Hello, gentlemen, ladies, and non-binary folks. I'm History Vanguard, and today I'm going to tell you why Operation Sealion would have completely failed, even if the fat tub of lard right Marshal Goering and his apparently glorious Luftwaffe had claimed air supremacy over the Royal Air Force. The first and biggest reason was the largest bloody naval force on the planet in the 1940s, the Royal Navy. I might be sounding a little bit brilliant because I am British. You may be thinking, why would the Royal Navy have stopped the German invasion of the United Kingdom? Well, as it turns out, the UK is an island. Extremely useful thing indeed. I know it sounds very ironic coming from me, but just listen. But anyway, being an island and having the world's largest empire in the 1940s could afford the British to be very good at being a naval sea power and having expansive fleets across the world, and not just at home. Not just the home fleet as well, but around the world. Now, you may be asking, Vanguard, why is this so important for Operation Sealion? Well, I'm getting there. Just wait a minute. Since the Royal Navy was the largest naval power on the planet at the time, there could be a very large presence in quite a few theatres of war. For example, the British operated in the Mediterranean here, in the home fleets here, in the North Atlantic, the South Atlantic, the Indian Ocean, to an extent in the North and South Pacific. Now, a question you may now be asking, how large is the Royal Navy home fleet in 1940? Great, there, and in the North Atlantic. At the time of Operation Sealion, when it would have happened, well, I'm going to tell you how large the home fleet was. You had the second battleship squadron, what was made up of HMS Barnum, HMS Nelson, HMS Rodney, and HMS Valiant. My favourite ship has to be said on these four ships is probably HMS Rodney. She just looks brilliant, and it's quite a good name as well. As though she was one of the ships that engaged Bismarck and sank her after the torpedo hit his rudder, making it go in circles. You next have the battle cruiser squadron. You have HMS Renown, HMS Repulse, and infamous HMS Hood, what was sent by Bismarck. You also have aircraft carriers HMS Ark Royal and HMS Furious. You next have the 1st, 2nd, and 18th Cruiser Squadrons. The 1st Cruiser Squadron was HMS Berwick, HMS Devonshire, HMS Norfolk, HMS Suffolk, and HMS Sussex. The 2nd Cruiser Squadron was made up of HMS Aurora, HMS Penelope, there was HMS Cardiff, Atlantica. The 18th Cruiser Squadron, the ships in that squadron were HMS York, HMS Edinburgh, HMS Glasgow. You also had HMS Birmingham, HMS Newcastle, HMS Southampton, Sheffield, and Manchester. You also have the anti-aircraft cruiser HMS Cairo. There's also the 3rd, 4th, 6th, and 8th destroyer flotilla. I will not be naming every single destroyer and submarine because we'll be here all day, and I'm sure you have other things to be doing than listening to me for the next 2 hours, a posh British person recording this. And there was also the 2nd, 3rd, 6th, and 9th submarine flotilla. You also had assault ships from the Royal Norwegian Navy and the Royal Danish Navy. As you can see, a very mighty force, just in the home fleet of the Royal Navy, and that's not including the rest of the fleet. To be honest, the tiny German Navy, the Kriegsmarine, compared to the Royal Navy, was tiny and quite pitiful, to be honest. But I can now see people writing in the comments. What about the U-boats? Now, the Royal Navy had tactics and doctrine to deal with U-boats. And to be honest, they were very paranoid about them due to World War One, when the Germans used U-boats very effectively. This paranoia about U-boats definitely helps the Royal Navy hunting them down and destroying the U-boats and developing even more tactics to do so. So you're probably thinking about, what does this have to do anything about Operation Sealion? Well, as it turns out, quite a lot about it. But now I need to explain how the Germans are planning to get across the English Channel because it's absurd and quite bizarre. No, we're going to use shitting Rhine river barges. I know, if anyone's ever seen a picture of a 1940s Rhine river barge, you will be thinking, the hell, well, they're going to get those across the English Channel. And I've been thinking that for the last 4 days. But anyway, on picture on your screen at the moment, this is a World War II landing craft of the US made on a D-Day training exercise. Let's just put it this way. The Germans had no specialist landing craft to land a very large force on the English coast. It means they started to run river barges, as I said before. So what they were going to do, and this will sound utterly absurd to anyone who has a little bit of knowledge about seakeeping, or literally anyone really, was that they were going to tie these Rhine River barges, one powered one, to one or two unpowered ones, and put all the equipment on there, the embarkation points, including German tricks and machinery and guns, artillery, example, and tie this one bit, well, I'd chain the rest across the channel. Well, I see a few problems, especially the Royal Navy. Well, you have a thing called tribal class destroyers, and Royal Navy destroyer captains were known to be very gung ho and ram things on occasion. I could see things going very wrong. I could see them being used in gunnery practice and torpedo practice. I can see cruiser captains even getting a bit more gung ho and going, yeah, sure, we'll ram the thing and cut the thing in half. It has been known for Royal Navy aircraft carriers to chop vessels in half. I wouldn't be surprised if they start doing to barges. And to be honest, what are you going to do against a 10,000-ton destroyer with an NG-42? You ain't going to do anything. It has 3 inches belt armor. You ain't going to do anything. Let's just say the Germans got past the Royal Navy and somehow survived. Well, they would have landed on the beaches. They would have been met by barbed wire, landmines, but that's not the best thing the Brits came up with. The British did the normal thing for the British French to do. We had a man in the shed invent stuff to kill the Germans if they invaded. Like one thing brilliant to mention was to flood the English coast landing points where they thought the Germans were going to invade with oil, then set it on fire. Now, I know what you're thinking. It's a bit sound war criming. But to be honest, if your country's going to be invaded, it doesn't matter. And most of these inventions were made by the Home Guard, and most of them were World War One veterans. So they had no real concept of the Geneva Convention, and they didn't really like that. So you can give them a bit of leeway on that, I think. If they got ashore after facing burning oil, landmines, barbed wire, and incessant fire from the Home Guard, regular army, and guerrilla units, they would be met by the regular army, the guerrilla units, and the Home Guard, who would fight fiercely to defend their country. It's especially the Home Guard, who I'll be concentrating on. They were defending their homes, their family, their friends, their children, their wives. They would fight to death and they would not leave their post at any station or point. They would blow up hills with explosives to slow down the forces, pin them down until the Royal Navy could turn up and start heavily bombarding them with large guns, in destroyers, battleships, cruisers. I would not like to have 15-inch shells landing on me. They weigh as much as a VW Beetle, and they're going supersonic. No, thank you. Oh yeah, they have about a ton of explosives. In conclusion, though, Operation Sealion would have failed utterly and completely. There's evidence to back that up as well. In 1974, the Royal Academy of Sandhurst, where they trained all the new British Army officers, they did a war game. But they would see if Operation Sealion would have worked. And turns out it didn't. They would have completely failed. Thousands upon thousands of men would have died just in getting across the channel with the Royal Navy and getting onto the beaches. Tens of thousands of men would have been made prisoners of war. The Wehrmacht and other units would have actually been decimated. In the end, Operation Sealion would have been utterly and a stupid plan to go for. But thankfully for the brave men and women in the RAF, they won the Battle of Britain, and the United Kingdom was never invaded in World War II. We beat the fascists all the way back to Germany, eventually the Americans and Soviets. Now, you may be wondering why I made this video. Well, it's down to I have had enough of people going on about Operation Sealion. If it would have worked or not. Plus, it would annoy the German World War II fanboys. So it's all win-win, to be honest. But anyway, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to the channel. It's most appreciated. It helps the YouTube holy algorithm. Anyway, see you in the next video. Goodbye.